Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to our Charmed Midlife.
Yep.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And this is our movie review podcast. We are still talking about movies that we've watched at home versus going out to the theaters. There's been a couple things out that I wish we had gone to see. I wanted to see Blink twice.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it might come out soon. But we do have our tickets next week for Beetlejuice. So that's exciting. So keep an eye out for that review.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we can just get into these movies we've been watching at home.
Sounds good to me.
What have we been watching?
What are you watching?
What are you watching?
What did we watch?
Yeah. Let's see if you can remember.
Whatever it was, I liked it.
And then coming up after our reviews, we will be talking about Bette Midler in the Actors Corner. So the first movie we're going to talk about is Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay.
This movie is on pay-per-view. It is PG-13, and it stars Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, Woody Harrelson's in there, Ray Romano, and it was directed by Greg Berlanti, which didn't surprise me by the style of it, but he is the guy responsible for the Arrowverse on CW. He was the showrunner for Arrow and The Flash and Supergirl and all the other movies.
Has he done many movies?
He has done a few movies.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of them now, but he's done a few movies.
Sorry.
So the write-up for this movie, marketing maven Kelly Jones wreaks havoc on launch director Cole Davis's already difficult task. When the White House deems the mission too important to fail, the countdown truly begins.
Indeed.
So let's start with ratings. What are you giving Fly Me to the Moon?
You ready for this?
I don't know.
You're sitting down.
I am sitting down.
I gave it an 8.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow. This is going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
Pretty certain I liked it much more than you did.
Okay.
We'll see what the number difference is.
Well, it's interesting. I changed my rating as I was writing down my notes and thinking of the movie. And there were things that brought it up and things that took it down. I ended up with a 6.
Okay.
So why don't you explain your 8 and we'll get into my opposing opinion.
Okay. So the premise was kind of cool. I liked the storyline and the plot lines. And I just got to say right up front, I was very pleasantly surprised with how much I liked Channing Tatum in this movie.
Does that mean you don't like him?
No,
normally?
I do like him, but I don't know. It's hard to talk about, I guess. I really know him from like the Magic Mike movies,
right,
and things like that I'm not particularly into. But
Step Up, I'm sure you didn't see
I didn't see
Up.
Step Up. Yeah, and I'm struggling to think of something I saw him in.
He was a Free Guy.
Oh, you know what? I like the
Wolverine.
one with him and Jamie Foxx in White House Down.
White House Down. Love that movie.
So I liked him in that.
Yeah. Okay.
This was really kind of cool. I thought it was going to be, it was predictable. I thought it was going to be predictable, but it was I thought it was very well acted. I really enjoyed Scarlett Johansson in this. Her character was pretty kick-ass.
Yes.
I love Woody Harrelson in anything. I mean, Woody is Woody. And I hadn't seen Ray Romano in anything in quite some time, and he was a nice little addition.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was really surprised when the movie ended. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I really liked Channing Tatum. So
well, I would hope so.
No offense to him and no real reason not to. I never really have. So
here's, if everyone watched our vlog last week and John had a mono-y Hollywood moment of begging them to not make long movies. This movie was 2 hours and 12 minutes long. And you didn't have a problem with that?
I did have a problem with it.
Okay.
It was too long, but I still liked it.
Okay.
I'm going to immediately go back on everything I said last week and just say I liked it, even though it was really long.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think I said last week that if a movie's good or if it's worth it, if there's a payoff, then I think it's okay if it's longer. But
okay.
for the sake of making a long movie, which I'm convinced that a lot of these long movies are made long because they feel like they got to give value. That doesn't work for me. This kept me in it enough for me to be okay with it.
Okay. Well, the first thing I wrote, too long.
Yeah. Okay.
It was too long. It could have easily been an hour and a half, depending on whatever they figured out the movie was about.
And I don't disagree with that.
I loved the style of it, you know, really getting back into the era of the Apollo missions with NASA and, you know, the clothes and all of that stuff. It wasn't like Apollo 13 detail, but it was kind of stylized detail of that era, which I think Greg Berlanti is good at. And then I also wrote I have a problem with the story. I have a problem with is it a romantic comedy story? Is it a story trying to tell something about the space industry which never happened? You know, I felt like they were telling this fake story in too real of a way that it was quite confusing because I found myself so much of the time going, oh, that probably happened. And it didn't. I mean, there's pretty much nothing in this movie that's real, but they make it seem like it is. And that confused me. I don't like that. It should have been different enough that I could have believed it. Now, having a female in a prominent position in those days, obviously you're constantly reminded that it's fiction. But you know, it just, that bothered me. I feel like the story didn't know what it wanted to be. Am I rooting for these people to get together, or am I rooting for this fake story of that they faked did the whole fake moon landing thing?
Spoiler alert.
Well, that's part of the movie. You can see that in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't. But okay. I missed it.
So that's part of my problem. I do believe everyone did a great job in it. It was like, you know, I would go, okay, that deserves an extra point because everyone was good. And I was like, oh, but I'm confused by the whole point of this. Like, why? What was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Other than it trying to be a rom-com or a romantic movie, why tell this story?
Yeah.
And yet there wasn't enough about that couple and trying to get them together to fulfill the entire 2 hours and 12 minutes.
I love you dearly, but I think you're thinking too hard about it.
Well, because I was not in it. I was like, as we were watching it, I was constantly being pulled out because of that. So
Okay.
it really didn't suck me in. I wasn't rooting for them as a couple. I wasn't rooting for the space mission really, because I know, you know, it was just, I was constantly questioning everything really as we were watching it.
Okay. I was not. I guess I didn't. For whatever reason, I got into it and I never got out of it.
That's good.
So
I'm glad. Yeah.
That's probably where my 8 comes from.
That's what you're what?
My 8.
Yes, I would hope so. Yeah. And as a 6, this is one of those where it was like, I started out really 3, 4 and it climbed up with other things. And I thought, am I going to rewatch this? When this is on the movie channels, I probably will stop and watch pieces. I'm not going to probably sit and watch from beginning to end because it's too long, but I'll stop and watch pieces of it, you know, as it's out. So that's why, again, it climbed back up to a 6.
I guess I have to, now hearing you say that, thinking about it, I don't know that I'll sit and watch the whole thing because you're right, it is long and it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
What was there was good enough for me that it kept me in it for as long as it was. I will certainly watch parts of it. I probably will watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, parts of it. Parts of it.
Oh, you know me so well.
All right. So that's Fly Me to the Moon. It is on pay-per-view. I'm sure it'll be on streaming services pretty soon, actually.
I would say watch it. Give it a shot.
Meh.
Meh.
You heard what I said, so that's up to you.
It's very mid,
Yeah.
as the kids say.
We're moving on to another movie that we watched and paid money for. That's on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Called The Fabulous Four. This is an R-rated movie starring Susan Sarandon, Bette Midler, Megan Mullally, and Cheryl Lee Ralph. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let me go with the write-up of this, because the write-up makes no sense, just like the movie. It tells the story of 2 friends who travel to be bridesmaids in a surprise wedding of their college girlfriend. Why are they talking about 2 when there's 4 of them? I don't understand. So, whatever. Let's go with ratings.
Just thinking about this movie made me yawn.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3 as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this sucks because Bette Midler is one of my favorite people in the world, and
Look,
so is Megan Mullally, and Shirley Lee Ralph is so good, and she's on a roll right now. And
I don't mind Susan Sarandon. I think all the actors involved I like.
right.
But man, what a misuse.
And my first thing is everyone was underutilized because they were all so much better than the script brought.
Yeah,
And
they were either, I can't believe it was the actors' choices. They were asked to either play dumb
yeah.
in a lot of cases,
Yeah.
or I don't even know what else to call it. They were just scattered.
The real story is Bette Midler's husband died after a lifetime of being married. She's getting married again, like within 6 months or something of that. And so Megan Mullally, Shirley Lee Ralph are going to be these bridesmaids, and they bring Susan Sarandon, who has been an estranged friend of Bette Midler's. For the first hour, it follows the plot almost exactly of Las Vegas with
yeah.
Michael Douglas and Robert De Niro and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Kline. That movie's wonderful.
Which is a much
Go
better movie.
Watch that movie.
And I don't think that's being sexist. It just, they were
but here's the problem.
so much better writing. And
I'm going to expand on all of these movies about with the older women. Go watch anything Diane Keaton's done in the last 5 years. Palms and that other one where they went to a camp and the book club thing with Jane Fonda. They make these women out to be such idiots. And it's driving me crazy that we can't get a movie with older women in it where they're normal and living however they want to live. It's like all of a sudden someone hits 70 or something and they're sex fiends or they're idiots who can't operate technology or they're this or they're that. It's driving me crazy. Here's my Hollywood moment. Please stop making these movies about older women like they're idiots because they've lived the life. They've done everything they need to do. And this is just ridiculous. It's like
Hollywood, if you know what's good for you, definitely do that because she's in the know.
It's driving me crazy. And then we get wonderful movies like Las Vegas, or there was that other one with Alan Arkin and Michael Caine where they robbed their pensions back or whatever.
Right.
Like these men are getting all up into stuff in their 70s and 80s supposedly, and women are just being idiots and smoking pot. Like I don't understand who's writing these things and putting it together.
It was very disappointing to see the choices made for this movie and what they wanted them to portray.
And that these women are doing it. Like, especially go watch the Diane Keaton ones. Like, that she's doing these things. And that they put Bette Midler, she's sitting here twerking for TikTok and stuff in this movie. Oh, it's just so frustrating. So, anyway, that's Fabulous 4. I have nothing else to say about it. It's a 3. And it's lucky. It got a 3 because of those 4 women that are just wonderful.
Struggled to be a 3 for me, and exactly, it's because of the 4 women involved.
Yeah.
Which sets it at 5.
Right.
But I have to take points off for
exactly
blatant idiocy.
And an hour and 38 minutes. And again, it just should have been 0. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk about is something that only I watched.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to stay involved.
I would appreciate it.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. So this is Mother's Instinct. This is the movie with Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain.
Oh, yeah.
And I just found out there's a novel. This was based on a novel.
Of course.
So here's the write-up on this. Alice and Celine live a traditional lifestyle with successful husbands and sons of the same age. Life's perfect harmony is suddenly shattered after a tragic accident. Guilty suspicion and paranoia combine to unravel their sisterly bond. So the trailer gives a lot away. They both do have, this is set in the 60s, might be the 50s. I don't even remember. And one of the sons dies tragically. And then it just becomes this kind of thing. They live right next door to each other. And, Celine is Anne Hathaway loses his son and her son. And so then, Allison always is like thinking that she's after her son now and that she's going to do something to her son to make her hurt as much as possible. By the trailer, this looked like it was going to be this very kind of psychological,
Thriller?
not thriller, but psychological play of what's going to happen next and what is this
Okay.
woman going to do and that sort of thing. And it's only an hour and 34 minutes long. I feel like it didn't kick in until an hour to that point. Like I didn't really feel any tension. I didn't really stuff is happening, but it didn't get to that point quick enough for me. And then it took a long time to still. Now, I will tell you the little twist on it and what's happening, I didn't pick up on until it was happening.
Oh,
now,
my.
either I had tuned out because I was kind of bored, or it really did come up on me and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So by the time it was over, I was like, oh, that was cool. And I like the way that ended up, but it takes so long to get there. So I'm giving it a 6. Again, I'm giving it a 6 because it's Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. And so the believability of what's going on, you're in it with them. But it's slow paced. So, you kind of have to stick with it. Again, this is pay-per-view, so I'm sure it'll be streaming sometime soon. But it definitely feels like you have to give it a shot because it takes too long.
Oh, dang.
What else did I say? The ending, based on the acting. Yeah, so that's everything. So Mother's Instinct, I'm sure the book was probably really good because I can imagine this kind of story unfolding really well, but
That seems to be
it was a little back and forth.
bunch of those out right now where there's a book that's really well received and liked or loved in some cases, and the movie comes out and it's kind of
Well, that's typical. I mean, even like Harry Potter, you can't fit a book into 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever it is. You just can't do it. But I don't know how this book is out there, but I just saw that. So
okay.
yeah.
I tried to get involved.
I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to keep it quick because it's like,
It's
yes,
fine.
it's a 6. And again, if it's on movie channels, I'll probably tune in and look at stuff. But it just, it just wasn't enough. So
Are the two of them in it a lot? I mean, I imagine they are.
they're the whole point of the thing. Yeah.
I give it a 7.
And like what?
I give it a 7
For what?
for Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. I haven't even seen it.
I know.
But
so
that's
you
a
can't
7
give
to
it
me.
anything. Well, that's why I said a 6, and I said that was based mainly on the two of them. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean
He
to
wasn't
throw
paying
you,
attention,
throw you
so.
off. I was paying attention. I was trying to one up you.
Okay. So that's that. Mother's Instinct. So now we're going to do our first Second Chance movie.
Oh yeah.
So Second Chance is something that we've reviewed previously, and we're going to give it a second chance to watch and see if our ratings change at all. So the first movie we're doing this with on this channel is Inside Out 2. I think that was our very first review, our very first video where we talked about this. We saw it in the theater. It came out on pay-per-view this week. I bought it, as I do most of those movies. And so we just want to tune in again and see if you're sticking with it. You previously gave it a 10.
Okay.
I previously gave it a 9. Now, we did watch it in 2 pieces this week because we didn't have time to sit and watch the whole thing. So that sometimes can mess with you. But are you continuing with your 10?
I absolutely am, and I think I actually liked it more the second time.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because, well, it's a common thing for me that when I watch a movie the first time, especially if it's a movie I really like, I know I miss things or I'm not always paying attention to the right things or whatever. I'm just happy to be there. Right? So I found myself thinking, especially at the end, that I really do think I enjoyed this more the second time than I did the first time. And the first time I gave it a 10.
Okay.
I mean, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I think what I noticed the second time around was all of the nuanced cleverness of the different emotions and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Like, especially what I noticed was envy. I didn't really
Pay attention to her
I
the
didn't
first
really
time.
focus
Poor
on
Envy.
her when in the first time around, but the second time around I caught various things that she was saying, and how clever that was for Envy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get that, yeah.
Just an example. But yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
So you're keeping the 10.
Keeping a 10. I'd give it more if I could.
I'm sticking with my 9, but I struggled with that because I thought about bringing it down to an 8.
Oh, no. Oh. Okay, we've got problems.
Here's the thing. The first one is still my favorite Pixar movie of all time. So you're in competition with that already, where it's not just a 10, it's a bazillion, right? Okay. I cried much more the second time around, but that's basically because I'm in the freedom of my own home and not in a movie theater. So I felt much more free to cry.
That doesn't always stop you.
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends. Here's what I figured out about this one. I love Riley's journey in this one, in the second one. I love that we're watching her much more with the emotions and how that's driving her. Where in the first one, she just kind of lost her emotions. And so she was just kind of in that depression thing. But this one, we're watching how immediately these emotions are forcing her to say something or do something. And so I liked seeing that interaction way more. I'm not as fond of Joy's journey in this one and all the other emotions. While I still love that they do the stream of consciousness and the sarcasm, and they have all these cool little things that we're finding that we didn't see in the first one. And again, I'm not sure what that is because I do love the new emotions, but there's something in their journey where they're trying to get to the back of the mind and stuff that just, it loses something for me. I don't know what that is. So I still personally really can connect to both of these movies. I've gone through, I feel like, both of these situations. And so it still affects me. It's just, if I have to break it down, which is what we're doing here, that's what I would say, is that I love watching Riley much more in this and seeing what's going on. And the ending is the second time around, the ending was very difficult to watch. If you've ever had panic attacks or anything like that, it was a lot harder to watch the second time around.
I knew the first time around, I knew how good it was, specifically that end and that scene.
Yeah.
But the second time around, I was just really blown away by how good a representation of a panic attack that has to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, knock on wood, I don't think I've ever had a panic attack. And I feel for people that do. I know you have, and
you drove me to the hospital,
I
so
did,
I know
all about it. But it was such a good representation.
It's a very good representation. Like I said, it was harder to watch the second time because I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But it's still really well done. I'm going to stick with my 9. It doesn't beat the first one for me. That's for sure. The first one still is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll give you that. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise.
Okay.
It's a 10 for me.
Good. So that's our second time watching Inside Out 2, and we're both sticking with our original ratings, which I think is pretty good.
I am a little surprised that you were tempted to knock it down a little bit.
Yeah,
But
things happen.
C'est la vie.
And I'm just going to say right here, on last week, was it, when we were talking about Matt Damon or something, the issue of not seeing John Grisham movies came up, that I had only seen Runaway Jury. Well, last night, The Firm was on, so I watched half last night and I watched the rest today. Yeah, I didn't need to see that. It wasn't very good. It was, anyway. That's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
Okay.
But I'll give others a chance still. I'll still try and do Rainmaker and The Client or whatever. But I didn't feel like there was... I do have a theory that there are some movies that just don't hold up. And you were in there in the beginning with me. And I was like, this isn't holding up for 30 years later.
I don't remember the first half an hour, 45 minutes being that slow. I didn't.
It's not the slow. It was all the women.
It was supposed to be because they were
and-
setting up how antiquated and awful that law firm was.
I get that, but today that doesn't really exist. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it does, but
Okay.
no one's going to talk about it. So anyway, doesn't matter. I'll keep trying.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We're going to move on to the Actors Corner.
Probably a good idea.
Oh no, he's angry. He's very
I'm going
angry
to be
with
frothy.
me. Oh no. All right, today we're going to talk about Bette Midler. This was really difficult for me. It was hard for me to only choose the 3 because
Really?
I wanted lots more in there.
There were a lot of her movies I haven't seen. So
That's
it
not
was
surprising.
easier for me. Hey, don't look at my list.
Well, then don't put it in front of me. Don't look
It's
at my
not
list.
in front of you.
Don't look. Okay. Movie you love.
First Wives Club.
That's what I have.
Really?
Yeah. Did I right?
Brenda? My Morty got to be this big shot on TV. He was selling electronics, right? On our 20th wedding anniversary, it hits. Midlife crisis. Major. He starts working out. He grows a mustache. He gets an earring. I said, Morty, what are you, a pirate? What's next? A parrot?
Yeah, I know it's not really like her movie and she's just part of the ensemble, but it's just a great movie and it's one of those that has held up and that I can still continue to watch, which I do, and everyone's great in it and it's funny and she's wonderful in it. So
Yes.
yeah,
100% echo that.
good.
Yep.
Something you like?
Parental Guidance.
Oh, I love that movie. I couldn't get it on my list at
Yep.
all, but I love that movie.
You threatened her violin teacher?
She says threatened. I say defended my granddaughter.
Yep.
Her and Billy Crystal is a great pairing that I didn't know
Yeah.
could exist. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And you?
Mine, Beaches.
No, I haven't seen it. Not even embarrassed, but I haven't seen it. Should I be embarrassed?
You should be embarrassed.
Fine.
I didn't want to actually put Beaches on here. It was there was a lot of close things in here, but when, again, we talk about legacy or, when she is gone, people are going to be playing the scenes from Beaches. It's just one of those seminal, like you said before, movies of her career.
Wow.
That I feel like still has to be on here. And I can't watch the end.
But enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me?
So,
okay.
it's still a good one.
Okay.
Anything you won't watch again?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The Fabulous Four.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Immediately jumped out at me. Like, nope.
Mine was Drowning Mona. And I'm not even sure if I remember that I didn't like it, but I have never watched it again. So that's why I put it on here.
Okay.
I'm not sure I even remember it that well. I feel like it had a lot of good people in it.
It did.
Anyway.
Well, okay. Well, yeah.
Anything you secretly love?
Get Shorty.
Is she prominent in that? Since I haven't
She's
seen it.
not a huge part of it. She's in it enough that you remember her in it.
Well, according to Todd, Sergeant Randall, a man named Ronnie came by Harry's office to collect on a debt. He got rough and Harry shot him.
You shot.
Okay.
But I just love that movie.
Yeah, he does. I've never seen it.
There's only 2 Travolta movies that I can really watch again. You know what it is?
No.
No.
No. There's more than that.
Such as?
Grease.
Nope.
You're breaking my heart.
I'm sorry. Maybe we shouldn't dive
Saturday
into it.
Night Fever. Staying Alive.
No. How often do I say
Look
that?
Who's Talking.
No. And I do like Kirstie Alley, or I did.
So what's the other one?
Phenomenon.
Da-ba-da-da.
Phenomenon.
Da-da-da-da.
Mana, mana.
Yeah, I don't like that movie actually.
I do.
Pulp Fiction. Hello.
Yeah, so Tarantino movies are hard for me to watch again.
Okay.
What's this? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
I really liked that the first time. When it's on, I don't.
I watch it all the time.
I know you do.
Good. That
I really
ending,
enjoyed
that's
it,
one of
but
the
I
best
don't need to
endings
watch that again.
ever.
Yeah, well, there you go. You.
What I secretly love, Outrageous Fortune. And as I was going through this list and I come across that movie, and I came across that movie a few months ago, and I put it on, and I still know every line to that movie.
Wow.
And I think that was something as a kid that had to be one of the first movies that I saw where it was two women, leading this movie, being hysterically funny and action packed at the same time. Like it probably, I'm sure it was one of the first ones I had seen like that. And man, I just watched that movie over and over again, and I love it. Her and Shelley Long are so funny together.
Look, listen, Frank, we're not just jerking you around. Some guys are chasing us because one of them stole a virus that's going to kill and destroy all the plants and all the trees for thousands of miles all the way around. We stole it back, so now they're trying to kill us. You get it?
Jesus, the 60s were good to you, weren't they?
Frank, that's right. Think back to the 60s. People did things for each other.
They were wasted.
And to me, it's one of her great, unlike that whole era of Bette Midler, Down and Out Beverly Hills, Outrageous Fortune, Ruthless People. Oh my God, it's so funny. All of those are just quintessential Bette. And so you kind of have to choose your favorite. And Down and Out Beverly Hills is also one of them that I just,
Okay. Now I feel better.
Anyway, okay. Anything you're embarrassed you haven't seen?
A little bit, slightly. Of everything on her list, this is the one I'm a little bit embarrassed I haven't seen.
Okay.
The Rose.
Okay. I couldn't say I've seen the whole thing. I've seen
Well, you could
scenes.
say that. Nobody would know.
Right. But yeah, I have not seen the whole thing all the way through.
I'm sorry.
I do not have anything.
Okay.
And are you adding anything to your watch list?
I went down her IMDb page and I got to that era that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Outrageous Fortune and all those. I picked Down and Out in Beverly Hills. I guess it could be any of those. Ruthless People, Outrageous Fortune.
You
any
haven't
of
seen
those.
any of those?
No, yeah.
See, in the 80s, I don't know what this man was doing, but he was not watching movies. Like, he really has not seen a lot of 80s stuff. So it's very difficult.
I was jumping dirt bikes.
And how did that work out for you? I have nothing I'm adding to my
Probably the
watch
reason I have such
list.
a poor memory nowadays.
Probably.
Constantly concussed.
CTE.
Yep.
I have nothing to add there, so I
Okay.
think that's it. We
Okay.
are done with Bette Midler for the week.
Okay.
So that's it for this week.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
Yeah, we're gonna have another 3 or 4 next week. We've already started lining up. So definitely come back for that. And stay tuned for our other vlog. I'm actually about to post today, so it'll be out by the time you see this. I'm showing all of our movie collection and artwork and everything that we have around the house. So definitely go and check that out and see what kind of fans we are about certain things.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So please, we would welcome some comments. Do you agree with what we thought about these movies or anything that we missed about Bette Midler? And subscribe if you haven't. And if you like the video, please like it. That helps us to grow the channel. And we will see you next week.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks, everyone.